So, I am duty bound by the state of California to ask you both if I have the permission to record this video.
Absolutely.
Goodbye, me.
So we have Matt Andrews and Dr. Adams, again, returning guests to this particular video recording, talking about what they're working on currently. And we had the opportunity to kind of convey possibilities before we started the conversation. So, Dr. Adams, as you're up, having finished your graphing and whatever you needed to do prior to actually getting on this recording, you were going to talk to us about the new A-Life conference that's coming up.
Yes, that's right. That's been my main project.
So, how's it looking?
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I can just dive right into it. That sounds good. Everything is looking great. We're really excited. This is going to be a really big year for artificial life, just generally, because it coincides with so many different things that are really cool and A-Life-y, including the new A-Life Institute. So yeah, everything is just going super smoothly. We have a lot of amazing people on the team who are doing an incredible job. We have a really large planning committee, which I really enjoy because I love working with people and getting to know people that way, which has been a lot of fun. But yeah, the calls for special sessions, workshops, and tutorials just went out, and the deadline is the last week of February. And we also have the calls for papers going out as well. So be on the lookout for that. But you can go to the website and you can see all of these amazing deadlines and more information at 2025.alife.org. That's 2025.alife.org. Super easy to type in. So I encourage everybody to check it out and to follow along on the socials. We have Blue Sky. I don't think we have Twitter, but I think we also have a TikTok, actually, because we plan on making a lot of videos, especially with Amy.
Me claim to be doing the videos, actually. I've been waiting for him to get in contact with me to actually get my videos so he can start doing the TikToking of them. But for folks listening in, the Institute, this is news, obviously. Can you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, so I can talk a little bit about it because it was announced last year at last year's A-Life conference in Copenhagen. And right now, we are doing a lot of things behind the scenes at the Institute, and we are going to make an appearance, and we're going to share a lot more information at the conference about, what's happening, what's the Institute about, how can people get involved. Unfortunately, I can't share any more details than that because it's all very secretive and going in the background, and things are changing really quickly as we build and grow and develop. So you'll have to stay tuned and check it out at the A-Life conference to learn more.
Very good indeed. So for folks listening in, for folks watching more importantly, what kind of research, what kind of things would be worth submitting to the A-Life conference? This has always been a sticky topic in this particular video recording, but what kind of stuff are you looking for?
Anything that has to do with artificial life. And we're going even broader this time because it's not just about science, right? Because there's a lot of amazing models and research and really exciting things. But we also are bringing in people from industry and companies and people who are hobbyists and artists and writers. So there's going to be an opportunity for everybody who's interested in artificial life in some sort of way, right? So literally anything. I don't know, if you even just want to show up and you just want to come to the conference to learn more, you can do that as well. There's a huge community that's really welcoming, and there's going to be a lot of opportunities to learn more about what A-Life is and how you can get involved and get involved in research. And how can you turn some of these really amazing ideas that come from research into products and toys that everybody could use. Yeah, very, very broad.
So the political question, will Bitcoin papers be allowed?
I think that we probably don't want people promoting meme coins. However, cryptocurrency and blockchain is an absolutely fascinating question. So I think that, of course, we welcome research that has to do with Bitcoin and blockchain and crypto in general, but we're gonna step away from shilling meme coins. So, so yeah.
Very good. Matt, any questions?
No, not really. I was guess the only thing I'd be really curious about is I'm working on trying to get a paper together myself, and I think this year's conference goal aligns really well with what I'm doing, and so I'm just trying to wait out until the submission criteria comes out so I can see what kind of a bar I need to be hitting. I've never done anything like this before, so it's going to be an experience.
Awesome. And then we're also going to have like submission guidelines for things that are just like, for example, maybe you have like a really cool simulation that just looks awesome and it's art, but it's maybe not like an expo or something like that, but you want to show it anyway. There's also going to be opportunity for things like that. So like so our dream, I'll share this. Like one of the dreams that we want to have is we want to have these screens around the venue where people's artwork will pop up or their models, right? So like you can have some simulation, a life world going and you can look at it and it's happening in every room. So we were thinking about them as like aquariums, right? So there'll be space for that.
That's a really neat idea.
Be fun.
One of my earliest experiences was actually doing that for nightclubs in Australia when I first started developing simulations. There's like literally XT machines, AT machines with the screens doing, brain simulations and various other things. So yeah, the artwork part, is Vita still connected with the A-Life conference, or is Vita doing its own thing? I remember there was some intertwining of Vita and some breakaway. Are you familiar with Vita? It's I think it's a Spanish language A-Life Art Prize, which is an annual prize.
Oh, right. I'm honestly not sure. I should check into that and see if there's any involvement this year. Stay tuned, I suppose.
There's usually attendance of Vita-related people, which is when I've met my Vita people, but I'd already talked to them previously. So it was actually quite cool to go to whatever was the one in 2012 and, have meals with the various Vita folk and talk to them about how just amazing the field of artificial life art really is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, beautiful. I mean, like the things that come out of people's A-Life worlds are completely amazing and beautiful and unexpected. And I think that just deserves like a lot of recognition and space, just to appreciate the beauty of these worlds that people are building.
So in terms of your own work, in terms of the trajectory, I've met Olaf. Olaf is going to appear in an upcoming recording. A hard man to track down and keep it times with regards to particular conversations. He has a conversation with Charles Offria of maybe 10 years ago that Charles had told him that if he ever met me that he needs to have this conversation. I thought that's a perfect podcast right there. So in terms of your plans, what's the world of A-Life looking for Dr. Adams like?
So I'm coming from a background, well, at first I came from physics, right? But then I studied open-ended evolution and continued it a little bit. But I think that what's interesting for me is a lot of those conversations really sort of like, they didn't crystallize, but they sort of ended up in this place of, it turns out you can make open-ended systems and we're just understanding it incorrectly because it has a lot to do with how we subjectively experience and judge the things that come out of it. So because of that, I started to think a little bit about like, well, why did I get into open-endedness in the first place? Well, it's because I was really fascinated with origin of life and how biological evolution is constantly making things that have function and purpose. For example, of course, everybody knows about the genetic code. That I think is a really amazing structure that has a very, very specific function. But before that, like even simpler, I don't know if it's like before. I guess, yeah, before that, like evolutionarily, I suppose, there's things like proteins, which are, again, structures that have a particular shape that end up interacting with things, and those interactions cause functions between different parts of the system. So what I'm really interested in is how these structures get used as tools. So really trying to think about how these structures are come about, but not just how they randomly come about, but how they're kept in a system. I mean, sure, you can get a bunch of proteins that are randomly made, but some of them are kept because they provide some sort of purpose or function or things like that. And that starts to get into a lot of like hairy concepts that are coming together. So I've been spending the last couple of years trying to understand how these concepts interact with each other and how they are expressed in different fields, what is known, and that way we can start with a fresh, clean slate and say, this is what we don't understand about evolution, and this is what we think would be an interesting question. So a lot of it's conceptual, but I'm turning back to cellular automata and other dynamical models to make some tests and do some experiments. So that'll be my upcoming year.
Terrific. Does that involve artificial chemistry at all? Because I know certainly in terms of Dr. Bruce Damer and talking about his origins of life research, the artificial chemistry component to it was a large part. You mentioned proteins. I'm assuming artificial chemistry is in there too.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. And that's what's really difficult for me is because a lot of different fields that I don't know anything about artificial chemistry. So I had to ask a lot of people, and I have to have a lot of meetings and interviews with people to be like, why is this concept important in this field, and how can I understand the overlaps between what people are looking at over here? So yeah, artificial chemistry. Let's see what else. Like design, human principles of design, which is really fascinating. Another one that's really, well, obviously like thermodynamics and epsilon machines. All those are related. And yeah, so I'm putting together a big review paper to sort of showcase everything that I've learned. it'll be
Certainly,
yeah.
Certainly artificial chemistry lends itself very heavily to cellular automata. I mean, a lot of stuff builds out of that, particularly with carbon-like chemistry simulation. So it's fascinating how it all kind of comes together. Matt, do you have any questions?
I really like the fact that you brought up proteins and discussing about how they are come about and they go forward in time, because that's really relevant to the kinds of things that I'm working on with my mutable encoding genetic algorithm. So I think that if you later on when I'm talking about my stuff, if you have anything to add to it, feel free to jump in or ask questions and fire away. But I really find that interesting.
Yeah, it's super fun. And I'm really excited to use cellular automata again to answer these questions. Like, so there's this video on YouTube that's like game of life in game of life. I think if you just Google that or put that in the search bar on YouTube, it'll pop up. But basically what it is you have like this regular cellular automata, but you get these like gliders and they're sort of like interacting with each other. But there's these persistent structures in the way that the game of life is evolving. But when you zoom out and you look at it and you keep zooming out and you keep zooming out, it turns out these persistent structures and these gliders that are going back and forth are actually making a simulation of the game of life rules, but on a macro scale. So when you zoom out, that's what you can see. So when I'm thinking about like these things like proteins, I'm thinking of these persistent structures that if you look at the system in a slightly different way, might look like it's evolving under dynamics that are not random, but are looking like they have some sort of like rules or something, or like another kind of rule. So yeah, I don't know. I'm super excited. I like to think about it all the time, but I gotta have some results first.
Does the simulation produce the results, or do the results need to exist first?
For the video?
You're looking to produce results first, you said, before you get into the actual simulation part. And I was wondering, it seemed to be cart before horse, but I wasn't sure.
Oh, right, yeah. No. Like, because what I wanted to do was I wanted to look at some cellular automata, trajectories, and I wanted to course grain them in a different way, such that you can say, like, if I course grain it in this way, does it look like another rule? Now, this has already been done before, but I think that what I would introduce differently is I would try to pay particular attention to the relationship between the coarse grained result and any static structures that are still existing within the cellular automata. So I feel like in order for me to say something like actually useful about this relationship between persistent structures and a way you would describe a system according to a particular rule or something like that, I'd like to have some results, but first I need to finish my grout. Move to Japan, and of course, like, take care of the A-Life conference.
Very good, very good. Dr. Adams, anything else you'd like to pass on to the users before we move on to Matt's update?
No, I don't think I have anything else right now. You know, of course, there's always a lot of events going on at Crosslabs, which are really fun. So if you're not on our mailing list, please join us. Otherwise, you can check out our socials. We have another workshop coming up in a month at the beginning of March, but which, by the way, is a hackathon. In case you are both interested, we want to have a week-long project share and collaboration where we talk about how we can use technology to interface with reality in different ways. So, like, can we augment our senses? Can we, like, understand reality and experience reality in new ways? So that's really cool. And for anybody who's listening, you can go to the Crosslabs website and check it out. It's called New Human Interfaces, and that's in a month. So if you want to join, please email me at Alyssa at crosslabs.org.
Is Python a requirement, or is any language acceptable?
You can use whatever language. You don't even have to know how to do computer programming. You can just show up and share your ideas, and maybe somebody else in your group will know programming and can work with you.
Very good. Very good.